Another good day of practice today, boys, and then the bad news afterwards. I think we saw this coming. It was starting to feel this way. Darrell Jackson does not get the waiver that he was hoping to get from the NCAA. Mike Norvell commented that he was very disappointed, as one would be. I think it mainly hurts them, particularly against the run, where I thought he would be a force. It would be nice to have him. It also would have been a bit of a luxury because they're good up front, and they're still going to be good up front, just not as good.
Yeah, it just mostly stinks for him. I think it stinks for him more than it does for Florida State. I mean, this team's going to be really good. And like to your point, assuming they don't have things go wrong from a health standpoint, they should be really good defensively. He would be great to have. But more importantly, man, this is his third year of college. It would have been his money year. It's ironically, there were some NFL scouts there yesterday at practice, and they were looking at Darrell Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
And so, that part of it stinks too. Well, so probably more.
He would be, and we don't know what his future holds, but he would be eligible next season, right?
Correct? He'd be eligible after this season.
That's what I mean.
3 years, yeah. He'll be eligible. He'll be eligible
so he
for
can
the next
come
draft.
back next, but he
definitely can come back.
I meant eligible to play at Florida State next year.
Right, he will be, but he also,
I think he'll go to the
draft.
I think he'll go to the league.
It's what hurts though is I think if everyone stays healthy in the middle of the line, you're fine. But if you get Fisk or Farmer or somebody like that gets banged up, it's a luxury is the right word, but man, you had a dominant defensive line that could rotate 4 to 5 guys. And the thing with Jackson was he showed flashes where you thought, well, he might be the best one.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought he potentially was the best defensive lineman they had.
Yeah.
He's a physical freak.
Defensive tackle.
Yeah. Well, I don't ever think of defensive ends like Jared Verse in the same vein. You're right. But I mean, it's I guess that they've been operating now in a way where we watch them and they still have a lot of really good players at the position. There's only really 2 big games where you think it could come back to haunt them a little bit. I think they're fine in the other games. It would have been nice to have him. Hated for Darrell Jackson. Bad situation there. I wonder, he could. I talked to somebody about this the other day. It's a possibility with him. He's able to practice. Now, his reps will no doubt be diminished. The other thing is, though, what you put on tape matters, and that guy's a physical freak. So if he was going to use this to catapult himself to the league, he could do that.
Yeah, he could. He also, man, there's so many things that now in the world of NIL, there may be plenty of reasons for him to want to stay for another year. So, we'll see how it all plays out. But the other thing I would say, it just stinks from a timing standpoint. And this is where you get so frustrated with the NCAA, because if he was a year younger, if this had happened a year ago, they were giving out free passes, go wherever you want to go. Then they just decided earlier this year, I think after he had already decided he was going to transfer to Florida State, no, we're going to crack down on it now. We're not going to just give away those waivers anymore. And now he's caught in the middle. I mean, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, the NCAA is inconsistent. There's no doubt. There was a stretch in time where they felt like they were completely impotent, powerless to do anything. People were doing whatever they wanted. It was just, termed the wild, wild west, and that the NCAA couldn't do anything about it. And somewhere along the way, they decided, no, we've got to do something about it. And you're right. They came down on it, I guess, now, and it's harder to be given that waiver. It's bad timing. It stinks. I'll be very interested to see what Darrell Jackson's decision is and how they handle it and what's going to happen from here. People are saying, well, they should appeal this. There's a thought they've already appealed this, guys. This is not the first go around here. This feels like
they should strenuously appeal it.
Right.
I
strenuously
object.
Is that how this works?
Yeah.
You strenuously object.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and it's frustrating, it's annoying, it's bothersome. I still think they're better off at defensive tackle this year than they were going into last year.
Yes,
100%.
They are absolutely
100%. It's just the margin for error now with another injury or a banged up player.
Let's say this, though. I think it's important, and I'm not just trying to harp on the positive at a negative time. It is admittedly a bad thing to have to find out that you don't get the services of Darrell Jackson, who could have been a dominant player and only added to the depth and talent of this defensive line. But at the same time, I do think Briggs had a good day today. He's already had 2 good days when I've been watching. He looks like the player from 2 years ago, not the guy who was just freshly back from injury a year ago. He's playing better. Farmer is bigger and stronger and better than he was. Even in the spring, he's better than he was, and he was already really good. We assume Fabian Levitt's going to be fine. Fisk has come in and been dominant. I mean, you can use him in a lot of different ways. He's a fast twitch guy. He's really strong. He's been very, very good. I think they're awesome on the edge with their two starters. So this is going to be a really talented and pretty deep group. They're a lot better than Ira, to your point. I think they're a lot better than they were a year ago.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, some people in the chat are saying, asking this question, so I assume a lot of people listening may be asking the same thing. What we were talking about when we say that they probably won't appeal is this has been an appeal process. The way these things work is you get denied initially, and I think we talked about this, over the last couple of months. He's been denied, but they were never going to say he was denied because they kept appealing, and they're going through that process. This is basically they've gone through all the appeals at this point. Now, maybe they'll send another letter complaining. I know for a fact Florida State's administration is very mad about this. They were mad about it, the fact that it was dragging out as long as it was. So maybe there's some sort of appeal not even an appeal process, just a complaint. So maybe that's out there, but they've exhausted the appeals, and he's been denied, and that's why they officially told us. So it's not like they found out Friday and now they appeal. That's been going on for a long time.